Brentford 1-2 Norwich, player ratings as Canaries finally end winless run. From Brentford Community Stadium, Norwich ended a run of 20 Premier League games without a win with a 2-1 victory away at Brentford. The Canaries dug deep to hold off a barrage of Bees attacks to ease some of the pressure on Daniel Farke. Ivan Toney came close to giving Brentford the lead after 90 seconds after flicking on Matthias Jensen's cross, but his effort went just wide of Tim Krul's goal. But Norwich took the lead in a Premier League game for the first time this season soon after when Matthias Norman's low shot snuck in at Alvaro Fernandez's near post. Brentford should have equalised when Charlie Good's long throw fell to Christian Norgard, but Krul denied the Dane from inside the 6-yard box. The Canaries were happy to play on the counter-attack and were rewarded for it when Teemu Pukki was set through on goal, only for Good to foul him at the last and concede a penalty. The Finland international sent Fernandez the wrong way from the spot to double Norwich's lead. Pukki nearly added a third shortly after the break but dragged his shot wide before Bryan Mbeumo put the ball in at the other end, but VAR ruled his strike out for offside. The Bees had calls for a penalty dismissed when Toney went down under the challenge of Ben Gibson and Krul was on hand once again to deny Norgard from close range. Rico Henry pulled one back for the Bees after getting onto the end of Simon Gatto's deep cross as Brentford found the spark they were looking for. Josh Sargent nearly scored against a run of play but was denied by a last-ditch interception from Jensen, while Milot Rashica had a speculative shot easily held by Fernandez. Norwich clung on to claim a precious 3 points, while Brentford have now lost their last 4 Premier League games. Alvaro Fernandez, GK, 5/10, probably could have done more for the opener, and he just doesn't have the distribution that David Raya does. Zanka, CB, NA, picked up an injury and replaced after 10 minutes. Pontus Jansson, CB, 6/10, brought leadership and steeliness, but it wasn't enough. Ethan Pinnock, CB, 6/10, grew into the game after Henry's goal, galloping forward and providing extra support. Sergi Canos, RM, 4/10, got completely sat down for Norman's opener and was ineffectual at both ends. Matthias Jensen, CM, 5/10, simultaneously looked like the best and worst player on the pitch. Real Paul Pogba vibes. Christian Norgard, CM, 6/10, unlucky to have not scored and despite some wayward passing, was still Brentford's best starting midfielder. Vitaly Janelt, CM, 3/10, looked so unfit on his return from injury. Rico Henry, LM, 7/10, risked his body stretching to reach Gatto's cross and ensured Aarons had little luck going forward. Bryan Mbeumo, CF, 3/10, one of those days where nothing went right for the young Frenchman. Loose touches and unable to link up with Toney effectively. Livened up when shifted out wide. Ivan Toney, CF, 3/10, failed to impose himself on the game at all. Charlie Good, CB, 5/10, shame he conceded the penalty because he was otherwise decent. Played the last 10 minutes up front, which was very funny. Simon Gatto's, CM, 7/10, his energy changed the game and put in a great ball for Henry's strike. Marcus Force, CF, 5/10, Tim Krul, GK, 7/10, great reactions to deny Norgard twice but didn't have too much to do otherwise. Max Aarons, RB, 6/10, not much luck going forward but put in a good defensive shift. Andrew Amabemedel, CB, 8/10, dealt with Mbeumo and Toney so well. Played with a maturity beyond his years. Ben Gibson, CB, 6/10, looked mildly impressive without having to do too much. Brandon Williams, LB, 7/10, quite slow for a full-back but wasn't troubled regardless. Matthias Norman, CM, 7/10, cracking footwork to set himself up for the opener. Pierre-Lise Melu, CM, 6/10, swept up and kept the ball ticking in midfield. Kenny McLean, CM, 5/10, not as good as his midfield partners but wasn't a liability either. Kieran Dowell, RW, 4/10, not his natural position and it showed. Couldn't stretch play or offer any threat. Team